Hey everyone, this is going to be a quick review of the CRKT M16-10KSF. The blade length on this knife is 2.8 inches. The weight on this knife is 2.7 ounces. And the steel is 8CR14 MOV. This knife came plenty sharp out of the box. It was actually hair shaving out of the box. It holds a decent edge. And when this knife didn't shave hair anymore, it was pretty easy for me to just drop this blade back to sharpness. The black blade finish on this knife is decently durable. It's not super durable. As you can see, it is wearing away at certain spots, but I have most certainly seen worse than this. However, if I were to compare this blade finish to other blade finishes, this one here isn't as durable as some other knives I've had with black-coated blades. The knife has a simple flathead screw to adjust the tension of the blade. I like that. Nice and simple. The pocket clip can be swapped to either side. However, it can only be tipped down when carrying this knife. It's a smooth opener, and the guard prevents your hands from sliding up on the blade if doing a push cut or a stab into something. If you're someone who's worried about that kind of thing, this will definitely prevent that. However, it should be said that this knife is designed more as an everyday carry knife rather than a tactical blade. The first thing I'm not fond of with this knife is because this knife can only be carried tipped down, this guard is kind of abrasive on your hand if reaching in your pocket for something else. This guard can scratch your hand, and it's kind of abrasive and kind of uncomfortable. The handle scales are smooth metal scales. They are very slick, even dry. When these get wet, they are even more slick. So if you're not someone who's generally fond of that, you're not going to like that. When your hands are wet, it becomes very difficult to actually use the frame lock, and it can even be hard to use when your hands are dry because of just how small it is. It's very smooth, and it's a good, strong frame lock. That's definitely a good thing, but because of how smooth it is and how small it is, it's hard to disengage. When the pocket clip is swapped over to the other side, it ends up covering up the tension screw. So if you are left-handed and thinking about buying this knife, I would recommend to find what you like for the tension of the blade first. Use Loctite so that it doesn't loosen, and then swap the clip over so that you're not going to have to worry about that tension changing on you. The thumb screw on mine actually ended up working its way loose, so now it's spinning. To make it easier to see, I just colored this with a Sharpie, and as you can see, this thumb screw is spinning. I'm sure that this can be tightened back up, but it's not going to necessarily be the easiest thing in the world to do because it doesn't have an exposed screw or anything. I do hope that they will redesign this clip so that this knife can be carried tip up for those who actually do prefer tip up. But for now, the knife is just tipped down. Lastly, these serrations are very small and hard to sharpen. I'm personally not a big fan of serrations anyways, let alone serrations that are that tiny. And something interesting to take note of is if you notice, the edge grind is actually only on one side. It's not a truly chisel ground blade. As you can see, there is a ridge on this side and a ridge on this side. However, the edge, as you can see, the exposed metal right there, is only on one side. And that's the way it was out of the box. So now finally, do I recommend this knife? To be honest, it wouldn't be top of my list if I were in the market for a knife. For around this price range, there are knives that I like much more than this. Some of this does come down to personal preference, however. I'm generally not fond of serrations, as I said, especially small serrations. I generally like a wave feature. This knife doesn't have that. This here is tip down carry only. I prefer tip up, etc., etc. So it wouldn't be top of the list for me. However, I can also say, though, that if you want a knife that you can just use, even for this price range, there are some better options. But it's not a horrible knife. It's just not what I would pick. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and I'll see you next video.